We are exactly 2 weeks away from Christmas Day, and it will be one like no other. Health officials continue to urge everyone to celebrate safely and only with those you live with. But some Canadians have admitted they do plan on seeing friends and family outside of their own household. So tonight we're breaking it down. What are the rules and what are the risks? Christmas is usually a time filled with visits to family and friends to catch up, share food, and exchange gifts. It's tough to take that promise away from people after an incredibly difficult year, but public health officials warn it just can't be the same this time around.
It's hard to break with tradition, even once. But the best and safest decision for those we love is to break with it just this once.
Despite repeated warnings of a potential post-holiday surge in cases, a recent Angus Reid poll found that a third of Canadians aren't committing to staying put. It's concerning, but not surprising to epidemiologist Laura Rosella.
I'm not oblivious to the fact that people really want to see their families and they really want to connect with others. The impacts can be quite far-reaching.
One often discussed idea is to quarantine yourself for 14 days in order to see family. Rosella says that's easier said than done.
It's actually really hard not to have any contact with anybody else. And then if you live with other people in your household, you also have to make sure that those people don't have contact with everybody else. In practice, you really have to be strict on it.
And Toronto's top doctor stressed that strategy should really only apply to unique situations, like students who are away at school and can't stay in residence.
For those individuals in particular who need to come home, certainly having some kind of period of quarantine in advance is a wise move.
For everyone else, she says, stay home. Then there's the idea of testing. In Ontario right now, you can only get an asymptomatic test if you meet strict criteria. Getting one to clear yourself for a holiday gathering is not one of them. Rosella says that wouldn't be wise anyway.
We're going to be in trouble where we're going to threaten the testing system, which we really need to monitor cases. And the second thing is it can offer a false sense of security, because if you happen to be negative on one test at one point in time, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be infectious when you go into that gathering.
Provincial orders also play a key role. Legally in Ontario, only 10 people are allowed indoors at one time and 25 outdoors. Whether there will be an enforcement blitz over Christmas, Mayor Tory had this to say.
If you think about it, it's not really practical. We have to sort of count on people to enforce the law on themselves.
We're never going to be on every street corner or in every home, obviously, but the coordinated enforcement team continues to operate. We'll continue to receive those complaints.
Now, Professor Rosella noted that post-Thanksgiving, there was actually a rise in cases linked to people gathering. And so she says, even though in the moment you may think it's safe, you really have to consider the risk that you're putting yourself and others in. Now, there are other questions to consider. How do you exchange gifts safely? What if you live alone? The federal and provincial governments have provided advice on this, and you can find links to those guidelines on our website, citynews.ca/extras. Wishing you a safe and happy holiday celebration. Erica Natividad, City News.